Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the We Know Traitors podcast over here on RHAP. We are here officially. The off season is over. I'm, of course, your host, the Duke of Deception, back here once again to cover another Traitor season, kicking off the first ever season of Traitors Ireland. We're here today to talk about episodes 1, 2, and 3. Week 1 is over. And I couldn't do this without a co-host, And I brought in my number one co-pilot here, someone who you are very familiar with if you have A, watched the Traitors Australia, B, if you have listened to the Traitors UK coverage, and C, if you are someone with good taste who knows who to follow. And here with me is the one and only Farrah Flap Flap. It's Annabel. Annabel, how you doing?
Oh, she's here and her flaps are flapping, let me tell you.
I do love the idea that there's going to be people who have no idea what that moniker means, and we're just going to leave it that way. If you don't know, it's on you.
Go back, listen to the tapes.
Annabel, 3 episodes in. My instinct is to ask you out the gate, how have you felt watching these 3 episodes?
I'm in a little bit of shock, I have to say, because I won't give any spoilers, but I have not, fairly recently finished watching The Traitors India. And let me tell you, it was spicy. There were fights, non-stop fights. So the juxtaposition of that and our Irish friends who just want to apologize for existing, they're getting along, they're making up. I've been struggling. I love it. The vibes are great. I really like this cast, but there's not a lot of claws out yet.
You're not wrong. The drama is still minimal to a point. I think by the end of episode 3, it looks like it's about to brew up, which is a good sign. But it is kind of just positive right now. A little Canadian from the Irish here who are very quick to not only hear each other out, but even accept like baloney facts as like, oh, that was, you know what, you made a good point. I'm no longer looking at you. That's it. It's like, I mean, you could if you wanted to. Like, you're completely allowed because y'all are, listen, some of the people you're voting out, you shouldn't be voting out. So maybe don't be friendly.
I know you just came for my throat really publicly and really aggressively. I'm so sorry I made you feel like you had to do that.
We are the problem though, because we're here being like, hey, stop doing nice. What is this?
Fight.
Yeah.
Who are some of your standouts? I want to know, who are you loving?
My standouts.
Your standouts.
Okay, my standouts. I think it's only fair for our viewers, those of you watching on YouTube, we're going to give you the graphic here of everybody, and then you and we can talk about them. So because there are 24 people on this cast, okay? Spoiler alert, we are talking about the first 3 episodes. Realistically, it's 22, and then it's +1 later. Poor Gemma just really taking L's from minute 1 all the way until... Annabel, getting picked to leave once is bad enough. Getting voted out a second time when you've not said 4 sentences to these people is diabolical behavior.
Yeah, so we've been kind of introduced to the concept that you can be booted out on the first episode arbitrarily. And that some of them, and that you will come back later. But it was also recently introduced to us the idea that, one of those people may not come back later, which I kind of hate. Like, I don't think it's fair for Gemma that she never gets a turn. I also think getting rid of people at the start only to bring them back later, is it overdone at this point, Pooya?
Yes, I think it's played out. I feel like we had it happen once or twice. Cool, whatever. I hate the notion that you're going to bring them back later and then be like, they could be a traitor or a faithful. And all they're going to do is ride goodwill for 3 episodes until they piss one person off. That one person says, what if they're a traitor? They all vote them out. So it's not like they're going to have like long-standing situation in the game either, at least from where I'm standing. So for me, I don't love this. I feel like I have apologies to the people who this happened to in season 3 of UK. I remember Fozia because obviously she makes it back. But your beloved crypto bro, finance guy, tall guy, Australian UK guy who never made it on, what could have been, Annabel? What could we have had there? I hate the what ifs, and they give us what ifs when they do this twist.
Yeah, like to put someone all the way through casting only to have them booted in what it's not interesting anymore. It was juicy the first time it happened. Was also juicy the next 2 times it happened. But if you're keeping up with all the international versions of the show, we've seen this so many times now. And what a waste of a character, because I just, you know what? We know that Gemma was going to be Cuckoo Canoe. And instead, we got nice guy John.
Yes, John is nice. Okay, he's like 53, he's a firefighter, and he knew about the Homer Simpson meme. So I was already like, okay, my guy's got a little bit of internet knowledge. I'll give him that. I like that. But then Gemma, who I think was going to be loud and wrong, potentially, or could have been a detective. We'll never know. But I think she was going to be loud and wrong. I feel like this twist promotes 2 things. Diplomatic decisions, which are very boring decisions on the Traitors. And also, if you look a little bit out of place, you're probably going to get singled out, which is just rough. Like, you don't want that. I feel like Gemma paid the invoice for that.
Yeah, R.I.P. Gemma. We never got to know you, but we'll assume you were fabulous.
Yes. Now, you asked for my standouts, and I haven't even gotten there yet. So I'm going to we'll go one by one. I'll name one. We can both speak on them, and then we can name another. How about that?
Sounds fair.
And we can kind of go back and forth a little bit. In no particular order, I have to say through 3 episodes, because initially I was a little bit like, who? By episode 3, I'm very much in on this. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Caitlin. I do mess with Caitlin here.
Yeah, I really like Caitlin. I thought we didn't see an awful lot of her before the Traitors selection. So when she was selected, spoiler alert, Caitlin, one of our Traitors, it was a bit Caitlin who, but we do see her as potentially one of the most savvy of the 3 Traitors, but not perfect. You know, sometimes I'm like, girly, what are you doing? Play less. Not that I'm one to talk. And I think she's clearly beloved by other people who were there in the castle. She's playing well. She's a compelling confessionalist. Of the 3 Traitors, I think I'm highest on Caitlin.
Yes, I feel like going into episode 3, I would have been willing to hear a debate on which of the 3 is better. By the end of episode 3, it's very, very damn obvious that Caitlin is our star here, who could be getting dragged down by another person who's a standout that I'm going to name here in Potty. And here's why, Annabelle, talking about twists that have been played out, I feel like we see the they're related or they're dating twist has happened a couple of times in different franchises now. But have we ever had they're related? They did not tell each other they're going to be on here. So they're finding out as we're finding out that they're on here.
No, we've never had anyone claim that they lied to each other throughout the casting process and totes had no idea that they would both be there. Color me a little skeptical about that, Pooya, but I actually...
Come on. Let's live in the bubble together. Let's live
in the bubble. Okay, yeah. They had no idea.
Yeah.
What I actually love even more is the competitive father-son dynamic. So rather than sisters, rather than lovers, we have I am not afraid to screw my dad over. I am not afraid to lead my dad out to dry, throw him under the bus. Like, Pouty isn't really giving Andrew that much either. The weird dynamic between the 2 of them is totally iconic, and I actually think that's the big difference.
Yes, and it sticks out in a great way. I about nearly passed out when Andrew called Potty daddy in the middle of the challenge, in the middle of the mission. Only like, okay, thank God no one heard us. Daddy, Potty. Come on, man. Pull it together. Not only a full daddy was let out, not even dad.
It was a full daddy, and it was to tell Daddy Pouty, you're getting in the way of everyone. Stay out the way, you pain in the ass.
Daddy, move.
All right. Okay. I have some standouts here as well.
I'm terrified and excited.
Yeah. The classic Annabelle standouts. So my king is Patrick. Patrick, absolutely iconic.
Oh,
Patrick
yes.
Patrick is a hater. Okay, like
Division
this.
1 hater.
He is a hater. He gets the dodo music in the first mission when he's the only person who refuses to acknowledge that Ben's really good in the missions. Instead, Patrick says there's not really any standouts except for himself. Cue them bringing up this footage of him falling over. Patrick hates Nina, is like so self-involved, he doesn't even realize that Nina confronted him and claims she's lying about that interaction ever happening. He's getting an in the toilet edit. I'd say he's being made out to have no idea what's going on and being absolutely in love with himself. And that's why he's my favorite.
He is our loud and wrong candidate as of right now, easily. I would even go as far as to say Patrick should get the credit for getting Nina out, because Nina was looking to be in a good spot until Patrick literally unravels her whole game and punishes Nina for being an outspoken faithful. So
yeah, Nina was a woman with opinions and Patrick was not here for it.
It was like, get that out of here.
I love him. He's amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's a good pick. That's a very good pick. Can I give you my pick for most invisible person in the cast real quick? My guy Wilkin got no confessional until midway of episode 2. And I was like, oh, that's how Wilkin sounds. Cool. And then the next thing we saw from Wilkin was people sussing him. So I was like, Wilkin, go back in the shadows, man. Like, you were better off not being on the show.
Wilkin is pretty invisible. I feel really sorry for him because for absolutely no reason, some of our other invisible queens, Joanna and I think Kelly, get a bit of a hate into him and decide that he's completely changed his personality. Given that we've never actually witnessed his personality, Pooya couldn't speak to it.
Well, yeah, the big thing for Joanna, who I feel like there's a lot more from Joanna that we're missing out on, because Joanna's someone I was intrigued by and that I've not been seeing enough of. But what did you think of Joanna's theory of, you said David was, but he hadn't been dead yet? So the was versus the is what does Wilkin in there. That and a shift in energy, because I guess you can't be introverted to begin and then be a little bit more vocal later on. It's a sin.
The change in personality is a bit of a nothing burger for me. But I do, so what I believe Joanna is referring to is when they come into breakfast, it's not yet been revealed David, who is another standout for me, that David was murdered last night. And before this has been revealed, yes, Wilkin is referring to David in the past tense. I do actually think that's a bit of a red flag. It's probably not something I would be waving around at the first round table. I'd be holding on to it and collecting more evidence. But Wilkin, that was a little bit of a slip up.
This is one of those situations where I could picture myself saying that and getting called out for it and then kicking myself because I genuinely didn't mean anything by it. And now I have to like defend my life like it depends on it because of this word I used. So yeah, not a good time to be Wilkin. Can we talk about Joe Goldberg? I mean Nick. Can we talk about Nick here? Because I don't know. I felt like Nick was giving me Joe Goldberg, first of all, look, then energy, but then he backed off of Eamon, and I'm like, you are not the man I thought you were.
Nick, it took me a long time to work out the difference between Nick and Niall. Okay.
He was taller. That's what I did as well. And then Niall is no longer with us. So
R.I.P. Niall. We have our two pretty clean Irish boys. I'm sure they're going to be very popular on gay Twitter. Except I would say Nick has a few more cards on himself than Niall. Nick has he came in with a strategy. His strategy was he wanted to create, I guess, an alliance of people who were really good in the missions and take them far in the game. Even if one of them were potentially traitors. Hate this strategy. I think it's a terrible one. But he's what I think I'm with you on Nick. He has potential. He sort of spots a traitor. He has a concept of a strategy. I just don't really then see that playing out in a way that is working with the level of confidence he has about them.
Yeah, like the way he sniped Eamon and said, I have an itch to scratch. I'm gonna bring it up later, and named him as who he was gonna bring up. I was like, damn, I love it. Let's see where it goes. Because this came right after he did say his strategy, which I was so out on. I was like, boo, what do you mean? What is this, Peridium's dream? Like, no, we're not doing that. But then to see him, the line of questioning was good, I thought, but he fully bought the Eamon mist, even though I feel like it. And we'll get to Eamon in a second. I didn't feel like he was all that well convincing at the round table. I give him credit for getting away with it, at least with Nick. We'll see if other people feel the same. But I just felt like more eyes were on him after this. So how more eyes were on him, but Nick votes Nina, I don't understand.
Yeah, they immediately did the Irish thing of apologizing to each other for accusing someone of being a traitor and then defending themselves for being a traitor. I don't know. Yeah, Nick, one to watch, but I want him to live up to the potential he thinks he has.
And I think it's in there somewhere. I do. I could see it. Might have to shift some things around, maybe wipe down the board and write some new things up, but it could happen. It could happen.
Okay, I want to bring to the table our Gone Too Soon King. If he had stuck around, I may have loved him even more than Patrick. We have good old Dave. Dave, who was doing breakdancing moves for the ladies on his final night. Dave, who loved nothing more than being surrounded by women and entertaining them with his jokes. Dave, who was the only person to nominate Sketchy Andrew as the most trustworthy person in the house. Oh, he would have been such a character, Pooya.
I was devastated that we lost him. I didn't want it to be him so bad. I didn't know who I would want it to be more, but I knew David, of the three on the shortlist, David was the one I didn't want to see leave, and he does leave, which was absolutely devastating. There's a reason why his name was one I didn't need to look at the graphic to remember. He stood out to me immediately. So I'm very sad about this, and I hope we recover, but it felt like we lost a strong one out the gate, and I'm very upset about it.
Oh, I'm just absolutely gutted. This man is perfect for reality television. And, David will never forget you. We'll always
No.
wonder what could have been. He wouldn't have caught a single traitor, but he would have claimed that he was the ringleader every time they were successful. He probably would have ended up recruited in the end and ballsed that up somehow. I think he was absolutely fantastic.
I hard co-sign that. Now I gotta ask you something, because I'm looking at him and I can't figure out who he reminds me of.
Yeah.
Ben.
Ooh.
Who is Ben?
Oh, Ben. He does. He looks like some kind of because he's giving me serial killer energy, but like not in a bad way. He does look, without his glasses, he does look a lot like an actor. I'd need to do a reverse image search. So we see a lot of Ben. He actually has, I think, one of the most confessionals for a faithful coming out of this week. But we almost exclusively see him during the missions. He's in the defense force. He and is really takes the lead when we're in the missions, but we don't actually get to see a lot of his strategic thoughts. He seems quite quiet, but then comes into the front in the missions. I'm interested to see where we go with him.
You say they're not showing us his strategic thoughts. I'm going, and I don't mean to be rude. Let me be Irish and apologize real quick. Maybe there's not a lot of strategic thoughts if all the focus is mission stuff. I did like in the second challenge, so it's the second mission when it was to do with the Irish language, and Ben was like, "I'm not gonna figure this out. I'm just gonna go collect all the discs." It's just shots of him, action movie star, jumping through things, digging, and just grabbing all the discs. Like, all right, he knows what he's good for here.
Yeah, he's muscle. He's the brawn, not necessarily the brains. Tell you who is the brains though, Vanessa. Okay, I am really high on Vanessa, even though she's not necessarily identifying the correct traitors yet. I do think she has a strategic mind. I think she's pretty good at managing her relationships. She's not afraid to speak up at the round table. She defends herself well. She has a crew of people defending her. And I just really hope that she sticks around for a while.
I feel like she's going to be fine. I was a little bit worried because Niall was the one. So she starts crying quite heavily once they vote out Diane because she feels like she was part of the push for Diane, and Diane's a faithful. So the tears made Niall think, I think Vanessa's putting on a little bit of an eye. I think she's a traitor. But then he died that night. He got murdered. So I don't think he was able to push that out there enough for there to be eyes on Vanessa. But I do agree. I feel like the very composed clapback to Diane of like, I feel like it's tit for tat that you're saying my name. I mean, they're both faithful, but I think that's always a good argument to bring up if you've accused someone and they accuse you back. Just be like, well, that seems convenient that I'm the one you're naming after I've named you. So I felt like she kept her composure there and she gave no one any reason to look at her. So I think she's in a good spot moving forward.
Completely. Obviously, the real brains of this week, and this isn't me being facetious, the standout star with traitor hunter potential is Queen Linda, Dr. Linda. We don't get loads from her, but she has clocked Caitlin, and she's got some pretty solid reads/evidence on Caitlin. Unlike Nick, who changes his mind about Eamon by the end of the week, Linda is still thinking Caitlin by the end of these 3 episodes. I've got really high hopes for her as our traitor hunter of the season.
I think Linda's a very strong candidate for that. I think being one of the first people to clock Caitlin is a good indicator of that as well. I did feel like there was a moment where she was talking about how, wow, I see the way Caitlin's comforting, and that's like something a faithful would do. I was like, oh, is she off the track? But I don't think she's off the track. I think she just clocked her. Yep, that's convenient that that's happening right now. I'm going to keep an eye on that.
So she said she's comforting her like a faithful would, but it seemed performative. It seemed like this was something she had been planning to do. And like, this is what I mean. Linda's social reads on Caitlin have been absolutely brilliant.
I want to nominate someone else as the vice detective here to Linda. And that's got to be my man Mark, who sniped 2 traitors in 1 sentence. Mark kind of knows, and Mark potentially the biggest asset in the missions also. So we talked about Ben might not having the brain. I think Mark got the brain and the brawn going on right now, because Mark was the one who said he's still here because there's a couple of people that are, you know, keeping him at bay, and names Potty and Eamon. So combined, the 2 of them got all 3 names out there now. So
yeah, absolutely. You're right. I should give Mark more credit, because is it Pouty who Mark keeps voting for every week? Like at both round tables, Mark has voted for the person who he believes is a traitor.
No,
and
he split them, Annabelle. He voted Potty first, then Eamon the second time.
He's so good. And this is why he's still here, right? Like every night. Okay, all right. Scrap what I said about our Queen Linda.
He's getting a promotion?
Linda, still a queen, promoting Mark above her because he has clocked Eamon and Pouty. And he's completely right about that's why he's there, because all 3 Traitors Towers we've seen now, they've wanted to murder Mark. He's so likable. He's so trusted. Nobody thinks he's a traitor, but he keeps putting pen to paper and correctly getting traitors. And while I'm team, someone says your name, cut their throat, Eamon and Pouty have been too reluctant to do this. He's still in the game. He's still being protected, and he's still being correct.
Yeah, he was the lone vote on Pouty, which, you know, typically if you vote a traitor early doors, they're not going to want to get rid of you immediately as much as they want to, because they're worried people will look at them as the prime suspect. So that's safety from Pouty. Then you look at the Eamon vote. There's how many people voting Eamon? A total of 3. So you're fine. Now you got double safety in the event that they're both in the conclave. So Mark kind of ate with this. I'm not going to lie.
Mark totally ate. Slay Mark. So just while we're still getting through some of our standouts.
Yes.
Patrick wasn't the only person I thought who was getting a slightly villainous edit over these 3 episodes. I think Michelle has also been getting a little bit of a, ooh, girl, what's going on? What do you think of Michelle?
Michelle is somebody who she was one of the shortlist to potentially be murdered first. So while I wasn't saying why didn't Michelle go instead of David, I feel like with Michelle, it's unfortunate. I feel like she's not a villain, Annabelle. Too many people are putting her in that box because what a crime to have David leave and then for you to go to Faye and be like, Faye, they're getting rid of the popular people. You're pretty popular, so I would watch out. And Faye's like, this rat. Like, imagine being punished for having someone's well-being in mind. That's the Michelle story to me.
She seems to be rubbing people the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
So she has a fight with Nina, I believe, after the first roundtable because Nina calls out Michelle as unapproachable.
Yeah, which oof.
Yes, which Michelle did not enjoy. Michelle then claims the next day that Niall was murdered to punish Michelle because the only person she talks to is Niall. And which when I was saying, and they say you're unapproachable, queen. But she seems to be rubbing a few people the wrong way. And I agree with you. I actually don't think she's done anything particularly bad. I just think it's notable that we get so much content of people disliking her. And her argument about the Niall murder and kind of making that whole day about herself, I felt like, what are we setting up Michelle for down the line?
To me, I think Michelle, we talked about how Mark has safety by looking at the traitors closely. I think Michelle has safety because people think she's a traitor and the traitors are like, you gonna die yourself. Like, we're not gonna bother putting you down for murder right now, or at least that should be the move. That should be the move. They could still very much do it here. But to me, she should be getting safety because of that. But I don't know, because I feel like we should also give Michelle some of the credit that we gave Patrick for Nina's ouster. Because Michelle's the one who opens up with, you said that Faye said my name, and then she's like, no, I didn't. And then she was like, well, I was told that, I took it right to Faye and she agreed. So I don't know why you're lying about that. So that kind of threw everything for a loop. But I don't know. I feel like Michelle should be getting the dodo shield, right? Like you are clearly so suspect that the traitor should not be looking at you right now. And I'm ready to call the traitors out for making a bad move if they get rid of her.
They want to keep, they've been murdering these big personalities, forgetting that these big personalities are shields as well. So as long as they're being big and loud and wrong, like, let them go for it. Let them cook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like, when there's a lot of noise, you can hide behind the noise, or you can throw a little, ad lib a little bit, throw a couple sentences in to like be in the mix. But I feel like the problem is, Eamon tried to do that again tonight and then got called out for it. And I feel like that doesn't happen if there's a lot more vocal stuff going on. And getting rid of a Michelle actively makes you more visible if you're going to be contributing. So a combination of, you don't want hella silent people who are just going to be like, I don't want to get involved. I'm just going to ride the first name I hear. You don't want that. That name could be you. Or you don't want to be the most vocal person, because then people are going to start thinking, why aren't you dying then? Because you're setting up this culture of being vocal and being popular is getting you out. So you don't want that.
Yeah. No, I think they need to start looking at some of the quiet ones. Speaking of definitely not a quiet one, we haven't really spoken about Eamon yet. Just what other people have said about him.
Oh my God. I love the bluntness this man has in the Conclave. That I was so here for. It's messy. It's great. But I think the double-edged sword of it, Annabelle, is when he gets called out at the round table. I don't know who voted him and cited, when Nina and Patrick were arguing, you seemed a little too happy about that. Like, he didn't have anything to say to that. It was like, oops, guilty. Like,
Eamon loves being a traitor. And I love watching Eamon be a traitor. He really leans into it. So the dynamic up in Traitors Tower is just Eamon suggesting everything. Like, this is Eamon. Eamon has a cunning plan. And then it's Caitlin responding to that with, quite reasonable objections. He's the ideas man. Caitlin, she's also quite assertive. She's getting in there. They're having a back and forth. Meanwhile, Pouty is sitting there looking like a grumpy old man and
also
just being
there.
like, oh, he's there. He's there too. So
Yeah.
Eamon, so I'm worried because Eamon is clearly the driver in Traitors Tower, has a lot of confidence, is already feeling like, oh, I'm so tired of these other two because I have to do everything around here. But it's more like Eamon insists on doing everything around here, and he's not necessarily doing it smoothly. The reason why I would still pitch, I think Eamon could do better than Caitlin. I did think he argued quite well at that round table. I thought people often weren't listening to him, but I thought
Right.
his ideas were quite coherent. Whereas Caitlin does too much as well. Maybe when we get to episode 3, we'll talk about the conversation she has with the women before the murder. But I think the way she came for Pouty could have backfired. The way she's sort of setting up having a shield with these women could easily backfire. Whereas Eamon's being consistent and people are buying what he's selling.
Yes, and I think that's the one worry I had about Eamon is that I feel like I'm like, okay, so he fixed the Nick thing, but it's kind of like whack-a-mole a little bit where he pushed that one down. 2 others have popped up. Do I know for sure that he's fixed those now? I don't know. And that's just because the spotlight is on him a little bit more now. That could be bad moving forward. But I do get the sense that Eamon's someone who started a little nervous also and has very quickly gained his confidence, which I think is huge. I don't know if it's like he saw the other 2 people in the conclave and thought, I'm the strongest one here. I can handle this. Yeah. But when he called Diane easy pickings, that took me down. Like, that was so funny. Also when he said he enjoys murdering, but he doesn't like asking for permission. So it'd be better if he was doing them alone. So I was like, I mean, that's all the confirmation I needed that there's going to be traitor on traitor violence coming up. But then he's also in this triangle where he's not involved in the direct beef that Caitlin and Pouty are now. So that's a great spot for him to be in because these 2 are probably going to look at each other. And low key, if one of those people leaves sooner rather than later, that's great for him because then they push out Caitlin also, or if Pouty's out, then they push out Caitlin. He's still safe. So I think that there's a lot of potential with Eamon. I think he's clearly like, as of episode 1 and even up to now, I think he has kind of been our primary traitor whose narrative we're following. Pouty's got the Andrew connection, which has been giving him more. But I do think if Andrew wasn't there, we're not getting as much Pouty as we are now. And I feel like Caitlin is on the rise here. Caitlin also does get the shield off of John here on the return. So I think that's huge. So if anything, I'm here for the inevitable Caitlin versus Eamon. If we do get that far, that would be very fun. That would be good television. So I would be very much here for that. There was someone else I wanted to bring up here. We didn't really talk about Faye all that much, but we've been told Faye is very popular. And I feel like Faye was a lot more of a presence in the beginning, but it's kind of quieted down in the next 2 episodes after the premiere.
Did you know Faye already has been in the papers in Ireland, apparently, because she was a victim of a catfishing scandal, not being catfished herself, but her photos being used by a catfish.
Oh, snap. I did not know this.
Yes. So Faye, already a semi-public figure, as was David, who went viral on TikTok for finding his being reunited with his sunglasses lens at a festival. Very moving story.
Slow news day that day, perhaps? What is that headline?
And Michelle, who's obviously a sporting champion. But yes, so we already are aware, apparently, of Faye as being very hot.
Okay.
I'll tell you who I want to mention. I mean, Faye, she's there. She's hot. Like, whatever.
Okay, sorry, go on. Yes.
Sorry, Pooya, you had your moment. Okay, but other really hot people, all right? Iconic outfits, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
Amy in her cast photo, her first day on the job here on the Traitors, wearing exactly the same cardigan I did, just in yellow rather than pink.
So you have to stand legally, is what I'm hearing.
Legally stan Amy. She is my crush pick of week 1.
Okay, there we go. Otherwise, though, kind of quiet on the show, Amy.
Oh, yeah, we get absolutely nothing else from her. But it didn't matter because, fortunately, my narcissism really indulged and carried her through the first 3 episodes.
I
from a
didn't
crush
clock it, but it is the exact same one you wore. Yeah, I didn't know that. Notice that.
Oh, don't worry, I did. Should we get into the episodes?
Oh, we were doing that? Yeah, sure. All right, well, set it up. Where do you want to start? How do you want to do this?
Okay, so if we're jumping into episode 1, as we've already covered, we're going to play first impressions game. So they've got to nominate who the most trustworthy person is. And then that person, they reveal, is going to choose the 3 least trustworthy people and give 2 of them the boot. And our King Dave, who's always got an opinion, he's the only one to stick his hand up, and he's like, look, like I found my missing sunglasses lens. I found the most trustworthy person here, and it's Sketchy Andrew.
Yeah, now if you and I were playing this game, mind you, we're not on the ride over. Who would you have off first impression thought this is the most trustworthy person? I'm telling you, I wouldn't pick Andrew. I just don't see it.
No. I mean, obviously, again, like is drawn to like. Pooya, I would have selected Amy. I like to think that I wouldn't have put my hand up to try and push somebody as the most trustworthy, but knowing myself, I would have gone full David.
Wow. Okay. No further questions.
Who do you think you would have picked?
Honestly, I feel like I would look towards someone who I'm like, I feel like I wouldn't get judged by this person. And I feel, because that's my biggest worry, right? Is that I'm going to get prejudged or something. I would go with someone who's very clearly like themselves, authentically. I would go Nina. That's who I would have probably picked.
Oh, yeah, I like that. That's actually a really good choice.
Yeah, thank you.
So he ends up booting Gemma and John. You know, we're a little bit sad. But then I feel like the real juice starts to happen after Eamon, Pouty, and Caitlin are selected as traitors. Because this is where I start to get really impressed by Linda. Linda is actively out there, Pooya, trying to form an alliance.
And we've seen alliances come into play in different seasons, different franchises, sometimes to a detriment, but if done correctly, a very great way to navigate the game.
Yeah, my concern is if like Linda's not in tight with Caitlin, and she's not, because Caitlin kind of knows that Linda has clocked her. Who's got Linda's back? I just think that Linda is too conspicuously intelligent. Unlike Mark, she's not put pen to paper. You know, what's to stop them from murdering Linda?
Yeah, I mean, if like the thing is with figuring out or like being onto a traitor is it's always a weird tightrope to run, right? And I feel like because Mark has vocalized it to some people like proper accusation, but then has put the names on paper, that is enough staying power to keep him safe, most likely, because again, it'd be very stupid to just get rid of him at that point. I feel like Linda doesn't have that at all. Being on to Caitlin is good. Not having anyone know that, at least a little bit, is not good.
She definitely raises it because it gets run. I'm pretty sure Eamon is in the group when she kind of throws out Caitlin's name, and
Yes.
Eamon goes running straight back to Caitlin. The same sort of thing happens when Nick floats Eamon's name. He does that in front of Caitlin, and Caitlin runs to Eamon. So they're doing quite a good job of tipping each other off.
That and like I do like, because you know we've talked about this with like the US traders, but we've also talked about this with every passing season, the meta game of who could be a traitor just based on demographics and trends. And so because the reason Linda's looking at Caitlin is that she was like, I'm looking at the younger women, and of the younger women, she's like, I think Caitlin could be it. And like, obviously, if you're in that demographic, you're like, well, I didn't get picked. So who else could have been picked from my group? And I think that's a very huge and smart thing to do. Because if you came in being like, oh, I would be down. It's like, well, no, I'm not picked. Who are you picking then? Who's taking my spot?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I kind of felt like saying to Joanna, really? they're going to paint that target on the only black man on the cast's back. Like, let's take a step back for a moment. We've got 3 grumpy old white guys here. Surely one of them are up. I'd have lived for Patrick as a traitor, by the way.
Yep, I agree. Here's the question, and let me know. Do you think Potty gets picked to be a traitor if not for the fact that Andrew's on this cast also?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Pouty, does he have a semi-military background as well?
Shoot, was it prison guard?
I think so. Let me go have a look. Here we go. Yeah, he's a retired prison officer.
Oh, there we go. That's what it was.
Yeah, and he's clearly hilarious. I only understand about 1 out of 4 things he says, so don't ask me to explain his gags, but everybody lives for them. So I think he's really funny. He's clearly got a bit of a tough guy backstory, but I think having his super evil son there, his super evil but perceived as lovely son there, is definitely doing a lot of heavy lifting for him.
Yeah, so when we get the reveal that these two are related, that was very surprising to me. But they hit it well, at least up until that point. Still not the best family reveal we've had on the Traitors, though. Still can't top number 1 for me.
But Ross is.
Exactly. Same page. Same damn page. But that being said, I was intrigued, Annabelle, and I guess like for this one, I think we can just follow this storyline through the 3 episodes because it looked like, okay, they're excited. They don't know each other are there. But then Andrew forgets to ask if Potty's a traitor, forgets that completely. Then later on calls him daddy. Then Potty goes out of his way to be like, hey, so Caitlin said your name. Just keep that in the back of your mind. That's something to think about. When this man walked up to Caitlin to tell Caitlin, I heard my name, I thought, that's fine. That's fine if he doesn't reveal a name. Then he name drops his dad. And at that point, I was like, this is dumb. Like, this was a bad move on your part. I could be convinced otherwise, Annabelle, if you think otherwise. But to me, if you have even a bit of an inkling that your dad and you are not on the same team, don't rat him out because he's protecting you. In the event that he is on the same team as you, and you do believe that Caitlin's bad, maybe you're feeding your dad to the wolves, but isn't it a net positive to just not like sit on this info and maybe try and change Caitlin's perception of you?
So Caitlin keeps, even from night 1, keeps bringing Andrew's name up in Traitors Tower as a potential person to murder. At the second breakfast is where we have this interaction between Pouty and Andrew. And Andrew asks Pouty, are you a traitor? And just by the expression on Andrew's face when Pouty denies it, I'm like, I don't know that Andrew's buying what he's selling. Yep. What Pouty then goes on to say about Caitlin just gave me flashbacks to my own experience, because Andrew says, I'm a bit sus on Caitlin. And Pouty's reaction is, that is very interesting. Just keep it in your pocket. She has actually mentioned your name, and maybe your suspicions are right. Keep an eye on her. It felt very much like a, yes, son, she's also a traitor. She's trying to murder you. Keep an eye on her. Let's keep it on the down low. But I genuinely don't think Pouty and Andrew had a preseason strat chat, okay? I think that Pouty is being like, yeah, that's interesting. Andrew clocks in that moment, my dad is a traitor. He should clock Caitlin as a traitor as well. But as you say, runs that info over and goes, look, I don't give a damn. If my dad's a traitor, like, he's on the enemy side, I don't give a shit. I'm throwing him under the bus. Like, let's get him, Caitlin. What the F, Pooya? I'm with you. I think it was a dog move. And I think it wasn't a great move for him because Caitlin does want to cut his throat. And stand on 2 feet, Pouty. Why are you apologizing to Caitlin and Andrew for this? Like, you should be the pissed one.
Yeah. you got done in by both people that you're working with. Like, that is not ideal at all. When he, and like, I think he made a huge mistake, which Caitlyn does call it, of like, hey, listen, you're doomed. Why are you taking me down with you? Because the immediate one-on-one, like, take you to the corner to be like, of course I remember where it was. It was in the Conclave, but I can't say that. I was like, why would you ever admit what? Like, okay. I was like, that is so not the point here, man. Like, you shouldn't have said anything. Now, it helps Andrew a little bit. And I thought about this while you were explaining this just now. Yeah. Where Caitlyn and Pouty now, they're not gonna, I mean, Pouty's not gonna murder his son, period. Caitlyn ain't gonna bring up this man's name anymore either. Andrew's name is not going to be brought up by Caitlyn now because of this weird implication that's happened, right? So I guess from that perspective, he's bought himself some staying power, but I still think he's, if he truly is pieced together that his dad is a traitor and Caitlyn is a fellow accomplice, having these two go against each other is bad for you, because if your dad leaves, Caitlyn can just slit your throat also. Or if Caitlyn was also protecting you because now you're onto her, Caitlyn could be taken down as a traitor versus traitor situation, and she's gone, and now it's a whole re-rack and you don't know where to go. So I just feel like it was, I don't know, it was a weird move. It was a weird move to make.
It was very odd. I also don't know that I buy that he's clocked Caitlyn's a traitor. I don't know that we've got that evidence. I actually don't think this was well played by Caitlyn either. Caitlyn insists that she had to blow up Pouty's spot or it would have been sus. Actually, I think she could have just had a public confrontation, not at the round table with him. Pull over Pouty, grill him in front of Andrew, ask to get to the bottom of this there. And then I feel like she can argue that was satisfied. What was so weird was at the round table, she's demanding, where, Pouty? Where were we when you said this? Knowing he can't say in the Conclave. Who was the witness? Knowing he can only say Eamon and therefore implicate all three traitors. So he says, I don't know. And she hammers those 2 points home so aggressively that I think that when Linda is piecing together evidence later, it's Caitlyn who has made it obvious this is traitor on traitor violence, not Pouty. She took it too far. She put his name down. She's so lucky that Pouty is apologizing and Eamon's also blaming him, because she took this way too far, way overplayed it.
I 1000% agree. Like, I think we're both on the same page that Caitlyn is the best of the three traitors, but I think this was a very bad move made at the very end of what was going to be a perfect week one for me for Caitlyn. Because I think that because the conversation that's happening, the culture that's forming in this castle up until the Nina boot is, we are looking at people who aren't sharing enough and we are calling them suspect, meaning everyone's got to chime in a little bit. If you're not chiming in, you're suspect. That's not what you want. So you got to pipe up a little bit here. But I feel like what Caitlyn did felt like it was a lot to shift onto Pouty, knowing full well that's not going to get the votes here. Like, this isn't going to do that. All it's going to do is maybe scare Pouty into not saying anything moving forward. But ultimately, now if people are sus of him because of what you've said, and he goes, the first thing they're going to think is traitor on traitor, because that is something that y'all have brought up already in the castle. This cast is very aware of the traitor on traitor strat, because this wasn't the first time it had come up, and this will not be the first time it comes up. And I think the minute they get a traitor, they're immediately going to point fingers at the other person who first accused them, for sure.
She's blaming him, but she created this situation. This situation did not happen. She creates a situation where, Eamon's already cupping a bunch of votes at this round table that Nick is leading, and Mark are voting for him. She creates a situation now where people are looking at Pouty. Like, she's just lucky that those two men don't turn around and gang up on her. I also thought in that same episode, so she gets the shield from John. And then before they go to bed, she pulls aside Joanna and Christina and tells them, look, I've got the shield. Do not tell anyone, because if there's no murder in the morning, someone tried to murder me. And my heart sank. I was like, oh my, oh, please, girl, don't do this. I thought she was going to try and then murder herself and overplay that big time. But I felt, I don't know about you, maybe I'm at this point I was so out on her after the party of it all. Did you feel like it was a little bit too super explaining things, didn't seem genuine fear in her voice? Or do you feel like Christine and Joanna bought it?
I think in the moment it's like, it's like when you were told a bit of information, you're brought in, is a level of excitement of like, oh hell yeah, like you value me enough to tell me this. That's cool. Also, I know where the shield went. That's pretty damn cool. I like that. I feel like there's a bit of that. We didn't see enough for me to know if that's where it stays, because I'm with you, the over explaining, because you know how sometimes when you're trying to explain a show, one of our weird shows we watch to a normie, it's like, what the show is, but in order for them to see it the way you see it, you have to explain it way too much. And they're still not going to get it, because they're not going to get it until they watch it themselves. But you're trying to walk them through. That's kind of how it felt with Caitlin, right? It's like 3D chess of, and if I am still here, that means they tried to kill me, but only we know. So that's good to know. It was like this. No. Wrap this all up. I think for Caitlin, it was just an attempt to be like, I trust you two. Here's what I have. We should bond more. And then you move on. And thankfully, it did not come up that that's a thing they're even thinking about in the Conclave. So that's good, at least. The hope for her is that these two genuinely saw it as a bonding moment and don't overanalyze it. And I feel like, given what we've seen from both of them, I'm not expecting them to overanalyze it. So I think it ultimately worked out, but we'll see.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I actually really like Christine as a character. Again, the strategic thoughts aren't great, but I love that she's kind of horny for John. I loved her running around after him, trying to bring him cups of tea and biscuits to seduce the shield off him, and it just resulting in him being a bit scared of her.
Mm-hmm. I did also like her first vote being for Wilkin, and it's like, you just had no names for me when I asked you. I didn't like that. Okay, cool.
Oh, Christine. So going into tell me if I'm jumping too far ahead here.
No,
but
feel free.
In this last Traitors Tower, we're still looking at who we're going to murder. Caitlin is being pushy, like, we need a woman this time. You've already murdered two men. Let me murder one of my girlies. Who are we looking at? We've got Michelle, big character, but I'd argue a bit too off-putting. They say Faye is offering nothing. And then there's Christine as well. Who do you reckon we should be murdering here? And who do you think
they will murder? I'm very worried that they're going to do Michelle. I really am. Like, I know we talked about it a bunch, how it's a bad move, but it was because I know that's where it feels like it's going to happen. To me, until the fact that Caitlin talked to Christine and Joanna, I would have said Christine is fine. I do not think that's good for her now, because there's the last people that, if Joanna starts being like, yeah, so last night Caitlin told me and Christine, and then Christine's dead, that's unnecessary eyes that could maybe go somewhere. So by default, Faye seems to make the most sense, simply because, they're being told, we were told she's popular. Michelle did give that warning. It can fall back on Michelle some more, because Michelle, Nina, and Faye had that weird sussy thing going on. Nina was innocent. If Faye dies, you look at Michelle again, because Michelle's the one remaining from that. You can make that argument counterwise, though. If Michelle goes, then maybe Faye's looked at for that storyline too, but a lot less convincing to get the votes on Faye than it would be to get them on Michelle. It's a lot easier. So maybe Faye is the move. And if she truly is popular, maybe you split some pockets up. I'm not sure. But I would have said Christine, but Caitlin had that conversation with Christine. Now I'm like, keep Christine. Let's see how that goes.
And the fact that Caitlin told Christine suggests that Caitlin is kind of grooming her to be one of her, ride or die faithful. So I agree. So. I'm concerned they're going to murder Michelle, but I think Michelle is so banishable. Let's keep her around. Let's go for Faye. So I think you and I are completely aligned here. Eamon and Caitlin also seem like they're pretty eager to turn on Pouty and have him banished next week.
Yes.
That'll be very interesting. Very interesting. I don't see a way. See, this is why I'm like, Caitlin seems smartest, but I actually think I might be higher on Eamon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a way where Pouty comes down and people don't eventually connect the dots that Caitlyn's also a traitor.
Right. I especially this early, I 1000% agree. If Patty survives like let's say 4 roundtables and goes at the 5th one, maybe then people will not remember this weird blow up that they had on the 2nd ever roundtable. But if it happens fresh now, they're going to be like, well, we have no leads. We've not really been right. The one time we've been right, you accused them. So let's try you now, see if you work. There's not enough information out there. There's not enough suspicion out there, especially if they flip and take Michelle out here. That's one less person who has a lot of suspicion on them to go. So you want to keep as many leads and clues and misinformation out there. But if you keep clearing people who have a lot of character, who have a lot of maybe personality that could be seen as a negative, then you're not going to be left with much to go off of. There's crumbs left, and then there's this big fight you two had. So I think this is bad. And I think if that's the argument, then I would have to side with you that Eamon could be in the better spot, in better position, because Eamon is someone who had some heat on him this episode, and a Patty and Caitlyn Superman pointing at each other meme, having them both leave is the best for him over anybody else. So I'm not potentially mad at it for him. But I do think if these two can just patch it up and leave it for a little bit, then we should be in a better spot. We saw this with Traitors Canada season 2, where that conclave was like everyone's kind of eyeing each other, but they ain't gonna do anything. And then one night it popped off, and it was like you could have avoided this. Just don't go in on this person too hard, because it just basically handcuffs you to them. In the event they leave, you get dragged down with them, whether you like it or not, and you don't want that.
No, and I feel like she started to do that already, and I'm
nervous.
I'm concerned for our girl because we love her.
Yeah, we're very much here for Caitlyn, and I really hope she's able to bounce back from it. It just comes down to how do we open things next week? That'll be very telling to what episode 4 looks like.
Plus, Eamon alone in Traitors Tower, you know he's going to recruit a yes man. You know things are going to get boring. I think that Caitlyn recruiting would be a much more fun scenario.
I agree, because I don't know if we need the Eamon, Andrew, and Nick final 3, like Conclave. I don't know if we're there.
No.
Yeah. I want a little bit more like, oh, really? This person? Okay. Like, I want that. I need a little bit of question marks in my life.
I want Christine in the cloak. I want her like doing the Traitors blackmail to John, and it's like, leave your wife for me, John, or you're out of the castle.
The fan fiction writes itself, Annabelle, sometimes, huh?
Take my biscuit.
Oh my God. Juicy. All right. So, you know who we haven't talked about? Siobhan, the host.
Oh.
Almost an hour into the pod. Let me say this. I am definitely getting hints of Alan here. I think that's where what we're doing, but I think she's making it her own, and I'm loving it.
I don't know if I've discussed on this podcast before that Alan, he's lesbian hot. You know, she is there's something about Alan that seems very attractive in a lesbian way, and is attractive to lesbians despite, you know, not being a woman. Now we have actual lesbian Alan, and I'm thrilled. She is making it her own. I think her sense of humor is dry.
Great.
I think she brings an element of Claudia to it as well.
Yes.
She's funny. She's theatrical, but she's also warm and kind of relatable. I love Siobhan. I think she's been super fun.
We've only had 3 episodes, and I'm genuinely never going to answer the question of who's your favorite Traitors host anymore, because I think there used to be a time where I was like, okay, well, my top 3 is clear. That's no longer the case, and I'm not willing to break ties to appease anybody. I like them all. Let me have them. Especially now finding out that the New Zealand host is switching also. I'm like, did I win everywhere? I won everywhere. I think we're living. So yeah, no, we're not doing that no more. We don't rank the host. Stop it. No, she's great. I think that, we've seen so many other of these other hosts have a rough start in their first season, first couple episodes. Whereas with her, it's as if she's been hosting it for 2 seasons already. Like, she's already at that level, and I love it. The standout moment to me was, I think it was this last vote, this RAS roundtable. Who was the first person who voted here? I think Wilkin votes Christine. Christine tries to argue back, and she's like, no talking. Talking is over. Like, yep.
I think that was so good. I also really enjoyed something we don't get a lot of in the US for, obvious reasons. They're filming in Scotland. Are some of the little cultural elements we get during the missions that we get in other versions of the franchise. I really enjoyed the second mission where she's sort of bantering back and forth in Gaelic with Niall. I don't know. I've really enjoyed that about the Irish version too.
Yeah, that was a mission that we just do not see anywhere else. Especially if we're only covering English speaking seasons like I have been. So I thought that was a very refreshing one. It was new. I would like to lie to you and say that I learned new words. I didn't. I was barely holding on to understanding what was going on. But I, just like everyone else on that cast, I said, here, Niall, lead us through, because I have no idea what's happening here. But I do love that also. I think I really like the Irish's roundtable as well. The roundtable room. It's very red, and red is one of my favorite colors. So I gravitated towards it. I did feel good about that. And I think they've nailed it, because, and this is not a negative thing to me, because I truly don't think budgeting, production like that matters all that much for me. As long as the cast is good and the season is lit, we are living life. But that being said, for season 1, they've got good production. This looks amazing. You hear 50,000 for the prize pot, and you're like, this is about to be budget. It doesn't feel budget at all to me, at all.
No, absolutely not. It feels well done. I mean, it's not flashy, but it doesn't need to be. Are the missions starting to feel a little repetitive? Yes, but they kind of always do. I'm high on where this season could go. I think it needs to pick up a little bit. This was great for character moments and getting to know people this week. I want to see some drama. I want to see heads on the floor next week.
Same. We need there to be a little bit more. These people are acting like people actually got murdered. We need a little bit more of that energy injected into the house. Y'all know it's a game, good, but make it drama a little bit, okay? I've seen people yell at each other over a game of Monopoly. Like, come on, we can up the stakes. 50,000's on the line.
I don't want to see Pouty apologizing to Caitlin for Caitlin doing the absolute most to get him out of the game. Like, Pouty, screw your son, screw Caitlin, find some Patrick really wants to have your back, Pouty, and Patrick knows how to throw down. Let's get Pouty and Patrick in the same room, and let's have them come in for the young women.
Could you imagine Caitlin somehow leaves before him and they recruit Patrick, and then Patrick and Pouty in the same conclave? I don't think we survive.
Patrick and this is so fan fiction universe, but Pouty and Patrick being the only 2 people up in Traitors Tower running the rest of the game would make my entire life. Best season of all time.
Oh my, it's just, and the funniest thing is Pouty's going to be the one with more experience, but Patrick's going to come in and take over, and Pouty's going to be like, okay, yeah, let's do that. It's like the weirdest boot list. Like, why did Patrick want this person murdered? That makes no sense. Us covering the show gets opposite. We don't know what we're doing. We're just on the right at that point.
No women in the show by episode 6. Because I really want this so badly. It would be so iconic.
Oh my God. I would be losing it. Oh, okay. Let's do okay. So I was thinking about this. This would be like a fun little segment we do for the however many weeks we're going to have this going on. Who is someone that you would like to see step it up? And it's not really to do with them. You want to see more of them on the show. So this is you calling it out. You're like, blank, step it up.
All right. I would like to see Joanna step it up. I want more Joanna content. I think she's messy. I think she's sassy.
Yes.
Show me more of that.
I agree. That pose, you see this photo? That pose? Yeah. She's got energy, and I want to see it. We're not seeing enough of it. The other person I will call out, just so we don't have the same name, Wilkin. Where you at?
Yeah. That's a
Please.
daddy if I ever seen one. And I think he's great. He's great. Wilkin needs some allies.
Yes. He's kind of just living on a prayer right now, solo dolo. So a couple of people in his corner could go a long way here.
I also want to see more hilarity ensue between Christine and John.
I'm not mad at that. A flirtmance could go hard here.
Yeah, a one-sided flirtmance that goes on for episodes and episodes. We've seen it before. I want to see it again.
Who's someone who you think needs to chill out? Like, if we didn't see as much of them next week, but they're still in, you're in a good spot.
I'm going to say Caitlin. Obviously, we'll still see a lot of her. She's a traitor, but Caitlin again has so much potential. She could be a winner, but she needs to start doing a hell of a lot less if she's going to get there.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and back your boy, Patrick. Relax, man. Relax.
No.
You'd be lucky to make it out of episode 5. Please. What are you doing?
Patrick, my prediction is Patrick doesn't make it out of next week, and I'm devastated about it.
We will be mourning Patrick's end in the game for next recap. You heard it here first.
Patrick's a goner, and I'm so sad.
And then if you had to predict who is the next person to don the cloak in the event that we get a recruitment in the next week?
That is a really good question. And there's something about Ben there's something about Ben. And I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. And maybe that thing is that he's going to end up being recruited. What do you think?
Ben being kind of he's only relevant in the missions, to then go from that to being cloaked up. Interesting. Like, I wouldn't have put that on my bingo card necessarily, but he's featured enough that could be an argument to be made. Would he be my favorite pick there? Be like, no, but also the show hasn't done any favors on making me want that. So that's on them a little bit. I have another person that I would like to bring into the situation here. I would love to see what Vanessa does with the cloak. I think that could be a fun addition.
That would be, I mean, look, if I can't have Patrick and Pouty, give me Vanessa up there. That would be absolutely incredible. And I actually think she'd be really good at it. I think the show will give me a Ben, but I agree. I would love to have a Vanessa.
Yeah, because I could see Vanessa being someone where the traitors think, she's got some sus on her. We could potentially twist it on her. And that would really be fun to see how Vanessa plays out of that situation as a person who is now guilty as opposed to completely innocent. So I would like to see that. Imagine a world where Linda becomes a traitor by next week.
Linda would be good at it, I think, as well. I don't think she ever would get chosen for it. She's too under the radar at the moment, but I think we've seen she's got the brains. We've seen she's got the social reads.
And Annabel, for people who may not have listened to you and I talk about Traitors UK before, by the way, do it. It was fun. You typically have a Redditor pick you like to put forth. Do you have that in this cast?
I absolutely do. So I have a couple. I think the most likely to have an alt anon account on Reddit where they're a member of a lot of really kind of suspect
Wait,
subs.
Can I write a name down?
Yeah.
See if it's like match game. See if I got it.
Yeah. So they don't go by who they are. It's a lot of really suspect subs. You're like, what is ooh. I've got one of those. And then my other person is they're not afraid to kind of be a little DAnon because they love a bit of clout farming. And they're prolifically active on Reddit. They're still like a bit loud and proud about it, maybe, but more in a Zach way rather than, not that I think Zach's even, but he was my pick last time, right? More in that way that I'm imagining than in a ooh kind of way. All right.
Okay, so I wrote two names down as you described them. So go ahead.
All right. perverse Redditor with the Anon account, Ben.
Okay.
Who did you pick for that one?
Andrew.
Oh, I could see that too. And
Daddy,
then
indeed.
clout farming on Reddit, Nick.
I did have Nick for that one. Yep. That do be cloud farming. That's how that's what I got as well.
Andrew seems a bit too vanilla, I think. Like there's a dark side, but he's a bit vanilla.
But you get that from Ben. You get the more okay.
He's got a whole secret alternative life going on somewhere, Ben.
Yeah. He's watching the season right now and he's like, they'll never know. They'll never know what else I got going on.
Absolutely. Like he might have a secret family in Ukraine that no one knows about.
That's an original from Annabelle's mind right there.
Again, don't sue me. This is all fan fiction. I'm not saying any of this is real.
Yeah. This is
in my dreamland.
Yeah, this ain't even speculate. This is exact. It's imagination. It's Annabelle's creativity shining for the world to see. Yeah. All right. One last. Yeah. So go ahead.
I was gonna say I told you who my crush pick was. That's Amy. You've not given me your crush pick yet.
You know, you're right. I did not give you my crush pick. And the thing is, first of all, this is a very beautiful cast. Easy said. So it makes the picking a lot more difficult. But like, I think for me, I think it's Caitlin, you know. I think it's Caitlin.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
She stood out. She stood out to me. And I think we both can agree, Wilkin. We need more Wilkin.
Wilkin also, okay, both great crush picks. I also just want it to be known that if I ran into him at a bar, I would 1000% hit on Patrick. But it would be slightly ironic.
You would do that, right? You're like, for the lols, I have to. I must.
I would. I'd be into it. Oh, yes, you had one more question.
Oh, true. Sorry. I was now picturing a creative world where I'm at a bar, people watching, and I'm watching you hit on Patrick. And I'm like, all right, 2 more tequilas for me, please. I don't know what I'm watching here, but we're staying in this spot. I'm not standing up for a minute because I can't take my eyes off of this.
Sandwiched in between daddies.
Who do you think is getting murdered by next episode?
It's a lot.
What? Yeah, who do you think is getting murdered?
That was the question. I thought that was rhetorical, and it was me and the daddy sandwich.
My! That's
Sorry,
why you did. I was like, why is she dancing on someone's grave? She ain't dancing on nobody's grave on that one. Wow.
All right. My murders for next week, I think Michelle, and I actually don't think Mark's going to make it through either. Love you, Mark. You're a traitor hunter supreme, but I think he's going to get the cut next week too. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like Mark has already, to me, I'm surprised Mark has made it this far, but if they then want to go pendulum back to let's get a popular person out, Mark is like easily, so again, someone who's killing it in the missions and beloved. Even if they have your name in their mouth, the person who is the most innocent looking, just clip them. You have to, because you could make the argument of any traitor would be smart to get rid of them. So yeah, I think those are 2 sound picks. If I had to add a third one in for just curiosity's sake, I would go ahead and, you know what? I don't think that we're going to see Kelly for long. I just feel like Kelly's story is nowhere to be seen. So getting like taken out at the tail at like episode 6 wouldn't be surprising for me.
Yes, we do have, because they're coming so hard for the big characters at the moment, we are going to have a lot of quiet ones to cut down the line. And I don't want us to have a few dry episodes while that happens. So maybe we can kill some of them off now.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, well, is there anything else, Annabelle, that you feel like we haven't touched on here before we wrap things up?
No, I feel like I've touched a lot more than you were really comfortable with me doing. R.I.P. Diane, she was a fun character as well. We didn't really talk about her much, but she was kooky. She just wasn't really willing to defend herself. And I'm excited for Pouty and Patrick to run things up in the Conclave next week.
I know. It's going to be a duo that we're never going to forget. We'll talk about the Conclave for years to come, for sure. And we're going to get into more goofy stuff by next, because we're going to know them better by next week, too. So I imagine the creativity is going to just be even more vivid than what we have right now.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful. I'll be in Canada as well, closer to you, slightly.
Yeah, but we'll be in closer time zones than we have been for many of our recordings. So,
yes.
Yeah, a good time will be had. Well, Annabelle, while you're, about to go on a journey, on a vacation, if you will, or on a trip, let the people know where they can find you and what are the things you have going on in the interim.
You can find me over at Annabel CE on Instagram. I'm going to be bear watching in Canada. We love them. They're big, hairy, and aggressive, unlike this Irish cast. And then you can also find me over on Twitter, Annabel CEF, where I am blow by blowing Australia versus the world. Only person on Twitter rooting for my ride or die, Luke. Let's see how things go. What about you, Pooya?
Well, I can be found on all platforms at Pooyaism. On Twitch, though, twitch.tv/Pooya. I'm there when I'm not podcasting, and I'm there 5 times a week right now. So find that. Talking all things myself and Liana over on the lounge. This week we talk about our trip to the state fair and all the good stuff. Bit behind on the 90-day grind right now, but we're coming back with a doubleheader this week, and then we'll be back on our regularly scheduled programming from next week. So be on the lookout for that. Also, I will be talking about the finale of AU versus the World on Sunday. We're going to be live, actually, 8 p.m. Eastern, over on the RHAP YouTube channel, talking about that finale. So tune in. It's going to be me, Mike, Chappelle, and Shannon. So we'll see how that all fares out. And if you're still watching Big Brother every Friday morning, I'm there talking about the live feeds. So check me out there. But thank you, everyone who came to hang out with us here for this. Let us know in the comments your thoughts. We would love to hear it. Who are your crush picks? Who are you fantasizing seeing in the turret? Who are you going up to in a bar? These are questions Annabelle would like to know, and I would also like to know. So sound off in the comments. Let us know. We are doing video for the remainder of this season as well. So it'd be nice for you to show some love if you are interested in any of that. And if you want to see us back on the YouTube for this coverage. Otherwise, if you're listening to us on the audio feed, thank you. We appreciate it. Leave a rating and review if you haven't already. robbinswebsite.com/traitors, TRAITORS. Let the world know how big of a fan you are of Annabelle. But then always remember that you are the number 2 fan, because I'm the number 1 fan anyway. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out here with us. We'll catch you here next week for episodes 4, 5, and 6. But until then, take care. Have a good one.
Bye. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.